normal time.
Jump into one, bro.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you for checking out another edition of the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to say good morning because I'm recording this on a Tuesday morning. And it comes after a Saints devastating loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. The first game played in Las Vegas. The Saints go down by 10 by a score of 34-24. And last night we had a show that was about almost like an hour and a half, and a lot of people chimed in, a lot of people called in. So I want to say thank you very much for all those that chimed in on the post-game show. But now, we done got some sleep and we have decompressed a tad bit, and it's time for us to really talk about this game and talk about some of the things that we saw from the New Orleans Saints and how can we avoid these type of things from happening again. First off, I had opportunity to go back and take a look at the game. I watched the game this morning. Of course, like I said last night, I recorded the game on DVR, and I got opportunity to go back and watch the game right after I finished up doing the State of the Saints podcast. I really didn't get that much sleep, but I just wanted to make sure that I looked at what I wanted to make sure that I was watching what I thought I saw, and this ain't gonna be like one of them shows, where I'm like just off the wall and stuff like that. Maybe not, it depends on how the show is. But my personality and the way that I feel right now, my demeanor, I just want to kind of be laid back here today. What I saw from New Orleans Saints was abysmal, and not just from, people that were young in the Saints organization. It was guys that you can count on and depend on in order to make plays. Those guys were nowhere to be found, and it was sad, man. It was sad to watch. It was embarrassing. It was just downright a train wreck. Some of the people who were doing things unconventionally, things that we never saw. For example, Ryan Ramczyk getting a holding call. Ryan Ramczyk is the best right tackle in football. We seen Cam Jordan had 2 penalties. We seen Marcus Williams on countless occasions be out of position and miss tackles. We seen Malcolm Jenkins out there whiffing on tackles. We seen Marshawn Lattimore go up against Brandon Edwards. Wasn't his best outing, going up against lower level competition. No disrespect to Brandon Edwards, but he's not a household name. He's a rookie out of South Carolina, still trying to figure it out. You got Janoris Jenkins, a guy who had a pick 6 last week, and we praised, having that pass interference call on Henry Ruggs. And we seen the New Orleans Saints defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, get out-schemed and outwitted by head coach John Gruden by, not having an answer for Darren Waller. And then you move on to, Coach Sean Payton, who I believe for the last 2 weeks has called some of his worst games, for some of the worst games I've seen Sean Payton call in a very long time. I can tell you some silver linings in this dark clouds. The Saints haven't started 2-0 since 2013. They always start 1-1. So it seems like the Saints always start off slow and then they start picking up steam. But usually I have like this level of optimism that they can just go on this run and music gonna be playing in the locker rooms. I didn't get that from this game, folks. And to be honest with you, I didn't get it from last game either. People, been telling me for the last couple hours. I checked out some of the comments that were said. And, a lot of people have been getting on me about criticizing Drew Brees and criticizing the offense and, me just saying things about, Drew Brees that I guess they don't particularly like. I just got to call it for what it is, folks. I keep saying that, but it's true. I just got to call it for what it is. The New Orleans Saints, they need to find better ways to getting the ball down the field. Drew Brees spoke to the media, and I want to give a special shout out to Mike Triplett. Y'all probably seen him on the show a couple weeks ago. He asked a question, man, because he asked a question to Drew Brees about declining, because that has been the talk. And Drew Brees said that it's not his responsibility to throw the ball down the field. It's about putting, I guess his receivers in the best position to succeed. And also, to make sure that he's getting the ball down the field without generating any turnovers. Look, I say that to say this, all that dinking and dunking, all that nickel and diamond, all that captain check down stuff, it's not going to win you nothing. It's not. And I'm not trying to be critical, but it's the truth. The NFL that we're in right now, you have to keep the defense guessing. And right now, the defense, if you go up against the New Orleans Saints, they're not guessing. Drew Brees is averaging 4.8 yards a pass, okay? That's the lowest since Brett Favre was in the league 11 years ago. And I just think that it's handicapping the offense. It's handicapping the offense because the defense don't respect the abilities that Drew Brees possesses when it comes to throwing the ball down the field. So what can you do about a situation like this? What can you do, TJ? I mean, you talking about it. You talking about Drew Brees. You bashing Drew Brees. You saying that, you talk about Drew Brees. You ain't bringing up nobody else. What's the solution? My solution is simple. You got to make sure that you're implementing one of these other quarterbacks in the game plan in order for them to not only be able to do some of the things that Drew Brees can do as far as the check downs and stuff like that, and also some of those intermediate routes, but you have to have them in a game so they can be able to throw the ball deep. And it shouldn't be to a point where you only know that quarterback is going to come into the game because the Saints want a deep ball on a play action. Shouldn't be that way, okay? Because teams just like Sean Payton looks at the percentages, they'll catch that really, really quick. They need to start implementing some of these other guys that are playing the quarterback position to be able to throw the ball down the field. Because I fail to believe, man. I fail to believe that nobody was open down the field. And honestly, even if the guy didn't have that much separation, you should be good enough in order for you to put the ball where it needs to be down the field. I'll give you a prime example. You looked at the Dallas Cowboy game against the Atlanta Falcons, the game that we all laughed at. You seen Dak Prescott take a risk and believe that Michael Gallup was going to come down with that catch. I mean, the coverage was great, okay? The coverage was great by the Falcon cornerback, but Michael Gallup made an even better play. I just feel like when you don't have trust in your players, and that's why I feel like the issue is. I don't feel like Sean Payton, neither Drew Brees has any trust outside of anybody named Alvin Kamara or Michael Thomas. And I guess you can throw Jared Cook in there too. I think they have zero faith in those guys. I think that you have guys out there that's basically just running around in circles, kind of like how the electronic football game used to have that one character running around in a circle. That's kind of what it is, because there's no plays designed for any other player outside of Michael Thomas. I don't even feel like Traquan Smith would even have targets if it wasn't for him playing in a spot that Michael Thomas normally plays in. This is a team right now that is dependent on two particular players, three if you count Drew Brees, in order for them to do anything. And it's sad because Sean Payton is an elite play caller. He can call great plays, but yet he don't trust those players. You're not going to win anything like that. You're not going to go to the playoffs, and coaches lose their jobs for doing stuff like that. Sean Payton has to stop being so stubborn. He got to stop being so stubborn. He got to stop being so pig-headed. You know what I'm saying? He got to stop being so, full of himself. You know what I'm saying? He got to stop being, like I'm just the smartest guy in the room. Because right now, you're turning the Saints into a one-dimensional team, and it's the same old song and dance. And you're counting on Drew Brees, who clearly does not have the arm strength to get the ball down the field anymore. You're counting on him to try to win you games like this back in 2008, 2009, and it's not the case. So you got to get Taysom Hill involved. I mean, I was wondering, like, what was going on with Taysom Hill last night? I barely even seen him do anything. I don't think I seen Taysom Hill throw a pass. I think I may have seen him catch the ball out of flat, but I didn't see anything with Taysom Hill. I mean, was he hurt? Was something else going on? I mean, was he not a part of the game plan? It seems to me when you use Taysom Hill in these games, he's a spark for the team. So I don't understand why you can't put this guy in different positions. But this was a sad game to watch, folks, from start to finish, from the back to the front. Over 120 yards of penalties, over 100 yards for the second consecutive week. I think every team in the NFL knows right now all you have to do is throw the ball down the field, and the Saints going to get a pass interference call. I mean, it's plain and simple. The same thing happens, right? If I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm watching Monday Night Football tonight, and I know I got to play the Saints on Sunday Night Football, I'm going to take shots down the field like none other, because for the last 2 weeks, the only thing that the New Orleans Saints secondary has shown me is that they can't cover down the field. So they're going to have to clean that stuff up. If you don't clean it up, then we're playing ourselves if we think the Saints going to make it to the Super Bowl or even the playoffs. Because, like I said, I know the Saints start off really slow. They always start off 1-1, and we always be like, man, the sky's falling and all that, and they always come back. But I don't get this type of vibe from this team this year, man. I don't. Defense was definitely tired. I mean, we got to keep that in mind too, folks. Not that I'm trying to let the defense off the hook. I mean, you got to be out there, you got to perform. But the time of possession of the Las Vegas Raiders was a key factor in this game. I think the Saints only had maybe like 7 or 8 offensive drives. I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. And that's a lot of time for your defense to be on the field, especially not having OTAs and minicamp, and still working your way into football shape. I still don't understand why we would go for 2 checkdowns ending in a screen when 3rd and 20. Yeah, I don't understand that either, but I just feel like Drew Brees is not going to take a risk. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way for our enjoyment and our amusement, which, look, that's just who he is, man. We can't expect Drew Brees to be what he's not. So I can't too much blame Drew Brees for not wanting to do that, but it is kind of handicapping the offense because teams know that he can't get the ball down the field. Last night was the defense's fault. Look, like I said, when you're on the field that long and your offense only had like 7 possessions, they can't sustain drives. The best defense in the world won't be able to withstand that. I think that a lot of that came from them being on the field way too long. But I'm not going to make excuses for that. I mean, tackling was horrible. Like, nobody couldn't tackle anything. I was wondering if they had Orville Redenbacher butter on those jerseys of the Las Vegas Raiders, because, I mean, those guys were slipping off Saints defenders like it was going out of style or something. So the defense, they play a huge blame in this, because anytime it was 3rd down, they let the Las Vegas Raiders off the hook. So I agree with you. I feel like the defense, it was their worst outing I've seen in a while. Sarah says Aaron Davis agreed. The Raiders ruled the field last night. Yeah, I mean, they were a better team. They were a better team, on every phase of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams. I mean, special teams, they didn't really do too much anything, but they were just a better team. Derek Carr outplayed Drew Brees. We was up by 17. I think it was up by, I think we were mostly up by 10, if I am mistaken. I think that's the most we was up in the game, because I think they ended up scoring. Yeah. So I think that the most we were up was like by 10. Jamison Simpson, Shanzi Johnson, 100. Josh Hill. What happened to Emmanuel Sanders? He just wasn't a factor. He just wasn't a factor last night. He just wasn't a factor. It's pretty clear that him and Drew Brees are not on the same page. Him and Drew Brees need to work on timing. It don't seem like Drew Brees really trusts him. And I said that at the beginning of the prediction show. I said, don't be surprised if you see more targets towards Traquan Smith than you would Emmanuel Sanders because of that trust factor. But in order for the Saints, in order for them to go anywhere, Drew Brees gonna have to trust these receivers. He gonna have to trust them, and I feel like Sean Payton is gonna have to trust them too. I think that play call sheet that Sean Payton has, I guarantee you it really don't have play for Marquez Callaway. I guarantee you it don't have plays for somebody like Adam Troutman. You know, I'm pretty sure it don't have plays for some of those other guys that are kind of young and is still trying to figure it out in the Saints offense. Those guys are just out there because you need 11 men out there. And everybody knows that. Everybody that plays the Saints know that. They know that people like, you know, during this time, Austin Carr wasn't getting the ball. Lil Jordan Humphreys wasn't getting the ball. In this case, Marquez Callaway not getting the ball. You got to trust your players. Like, what's the point of you having these players if you don't trust them? What's the point of putting these guys out on the field if you're not going to trust them to make plays? So they got to be more aggressive, and they got to have more faith in their players. Jermaine says, man, that game pathetic. Yeah, it was pretty sad. Latavius Murray with 3 carries is unacceptable. I mean, that's the bread and butter. Alvin Kamara is the bread and butter. Drew Brees to Alvin Kamara, bread and butter. They don't want to use that. And like I said, it all goes back to Sean Payton's guys. If you're not a Sean Payton guy, then you're going to get table scraps, okay? You're going to get in where you fit in. And Latavius Murray is one of those guys. He's not a Sean Payton guy. Sean Payton rather parade Alvin Kamara out there on the field and let him do his thing, which I think what is getting lost in this too is Alvin Kamara is playing out his mind right now. Alvin Kamara has 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, 4 rushing touchdowns. He's leading the NFL in rushing right now with rushing touchdowns, and it's the first time that has been done in Saints history. So, you know, that's pretty cool right there. You know, Alvin Kamara doing his thing, so he definitely earning his contract. If we can find silver linings in these dark clouds, it's going to be a wasted year while Brees passes stats. No one respects that but Saints fans. I gotta say this, and I said it last night, and I'm gonna double down on it. It seems to me like it's more about being efficient and putting up high percentage. You know, that's what it seems like it is to me. You know, I just think that if you're talking about winning a Super Bowl, if you're talking about going to the Super Bowl, you come out here at the beginning of the season talking about you're going to let it all hang out. You ain't got nothing to lose. I can't tell. I can't tell. And the thing about it is, nobody is going to change the way that they feel about Drew Brees. If you're a Saints fan, you're not going to change how you feel about Drew Brees. You still love him. You still respect him. If Drew Brees go out there and was just super ultra aggressive, more aggressive than he ever been, and he was pushing the ball down the field, I guarantee you Saints fans, if he had some turnovers, nobody would be around here putting him, you know, nailing him. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound sacrilegious, but nailing him to the cross. Nobody would be doing that to him. People would be like, well, he trying to push it. He trying to be aggressive. But it just seemed like to me like that ultra super conservative personality and the way that you're approaching the quarterback position is not going to win you what you want, man. It's going to get you some games won because you're a good team. But when it matters most, like in the playoffs, when you're going up against teams like the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings, it's going to show. It's going to show. So is it time for us to give up? No, it ain't time for us to give up, Kim. You know, like just because, you know, we talk about some of the things that are alarming in a loss, you know, I like to talk about them in a win too. And I said this, and that's the thing too, man. I said this before, right? I said in week 1, when the Saints played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I came on here the very next day, and I was like, is the offense, you know, is Drew Brees holding the offense back? That was the topic. And everybody, man, they just bashed me. Yeah, oh, man, what you talking, man? They won. Man, we have to talk about situations in the good times and in the bad. But do I think that is over? No, I do not. I do not think that is over. I think it's the beginning of the season, and I think they're going to win some more games. Boom. Alvin Kamara is a straight up beast. Taysom threw one pass. I mean, if he did, I mean, that probably was during the time where I had to go pick my wife up from work. So I probably didn't see that. So, yeah, but you definitely got to get Taysom involved some way, shape, or form. Saying she agrees. Kimberly says, I need to hit Sean Payton line. COVID must still be hitting him. I don't know, man. I just think that his pride is getting in the way of the Saints' success right now. The arrogance. Like it's look, the arrogance of Sean Payton is what made us fall in love with him, right? That's what made us fall in love with Sean Payton. You know, the fact that, you know, he's so aggressive, the onside kick in the Super Bowl 44. We fall in love with Sean Payton, but sometimes Sean Payton's arrogance can cost the Saints games too. Like that 2-point conversion at the beginning of the game. Like, come on, man, just kick the field goal. What are you trying to do here? What are you trying to prove? Okay, what are you trying to prove here? Like, it's the beginning of the game. Why are you sitting up here doing it? Like, and also like the challenge call. Like, it was too close to decide. Like, what were you thinking? You know, instead of you having two timeouts, and a 2-minute warning, you just cost your team a timeout for what? You know, like you know it wasn't gonna get overturned. It was too close. It was too close to see. So stuff like that, man. I just feel like he's a little bit too arrogant at times. I mean, it's the reason why we love him, but it's the reason why, you know, he bothers us so much. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the description. I'm gonna take a few phone calls or, you know, a few video calls. If you want to chime in, feel free to do so. I think I just put the link in the description. I mean, in the comments. Brian says, good, we left with no injuries. Yeah, that's the positive thing. That's probably the best thing. Cry says, Raiders tight end Waller wasn't doubled until the fourth quarter. That's a Dennis Allen problem. No adjustments, but no one will call him out. I disagree with that. I said that last night, Cries. When it comes to going up against elite offensive play callers, Dennis Allen struggles, and you have to give credit to John Gruden. I mean, he gave the Saints fits the whole entire night, and Darren Waller, they did not have an answer for him at all, which is not surprising at all, because I was talking to my big brother EJ off the air, and he was talking about how the Saints just struggle against elite pass catching tight ends. We got Jerry Poole on here, man. What's going on, Jerry?
What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Lord have mercy. I just not long ago woke up, man. It was a depressing night last night.
Yeah, very man. I can imagine, man. I mean, now that you had time to decompress, what did you see from the New Orleans Saints?
Well, I did see a little improvement from Traquan Smith and the other players, but that defense last night was like shredded lettuce, bro. They were getting shredded all over the field.
Yep.
I mean, it was just depressing to watch.
Right. Horrible. It was horrible to watch. I mean, it was just one of those things where, you know, once you watch this tape today or last night, you just go ahead and burn it, man. And it's going to be a short week. I mean, you're going up against a Green Bay Packers team that's been red hot, and it's frustrated that you're having issues with offense, and you're going up against a team that's been averaging almost 40 points a game. So they're going to have to turn it around really quick. They're going to have to turn it around quick, and they're going to have to figure out something. They're going to have to do something in order for them to put get other guys involved, because you're not going to be able to win games against the Green Bay Packers just throwing the ball and checking it down to Alvin Kamara. It's just not going to happen, man. You got to find a way to be able to move the ball offensively.
Exactly.
And
last night was one of those nights. Lord Jesus Christ. I'm sure you and DJ saw the chat last night. I was angry.
Right.
I was angry.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it's State of the Saints podcast, but that was the rated R version of me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to unleash, man. I had no choice.
I mean, it's fine, man. I mean, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of members of the Who That Nation that was upset. Man, I was upset. Hey, I think
I
people,
know you were.
I think people get things misconstrued. You know, they say I'm doing a podcast, but I'm a fan doing this podcast. I'm a fan of the New Orleans Saints, and I often say, you know, like when I was growing up as a kid, when they used to lose, you know, Monday was frustrating. You know, like you were more angry, you know, more frustrated. You know, and it seemed like, man, Sunday couldn't come quick enough. So
Nope.
I mean, look, it was just one of those games that was frustrating. They got hitting them out, and hopefully they can respond. You know, they didn't respond in a way that I wanted them to. I feel like it was the same situation with the Minnesota Vikings. It like they played
Yeah.
down to their competition. It's like they saw the Raiders on the schedule, and it was like, you know, SOR, same old Raiders. You know, like so they thought they was gonna go out there, get this quick dub, Monday Night Football, look good on TV. You know, do a couple of high fives, a little, you know, all that kind of nonsense they be doing. You know, but I mean, the Raiders hit them in the mouth. So, you got
Yeah.
anything else to say, Jerry?
Not a whole lot, man. Just got to get everything cleaned up and move on to the next game
Yep.
because we got to get ready for them Packers because they coming in red hot too.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now's the time to get everything lined up and straightened up and ready to go.
Absolutely. I mean,
But also one other thing.
Mhm,
Congratulations on yesterday. I did see the press conference
mhm.
of prime time Deion Sanders
Oh yeah, man.
as a new head coach.
Yes, sir.
Look, my dad was talking about it Friday night. He
Mhm.
said there's a possibility prime time coming to Jackson. I'm like, what? Prime time? You mean
Yeah,
Deion Sanders? I said, yeah.
right.
He said, yeah, man. I said,
Mhm.
oh man, y'all gonna be making noise up there now with him.
Yeah, I think it.
Everybody and their mama want to try out for the team now that he gonna be up
Man, that's a great move, Jared, because it's not only going to help Jackson State, it's going to help HBCUs in general because it's going to
there. Right.
make those other HBCUs go out there and be aggressive in their recruiting. Because you know Deion Sanders, like I followed Deion Sanders on Twitter because Jerry, I mean, I knew he was coming. I knew he was coming before anybody did. I have a friend of mine who's, I mean, he's knee deep in the alumni association. And one of the main reasons why Deion Sanders ends up coming there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's
So
Skrilla.
yeah, Skrilla, exactly. So you know, he gave me the skinny on that. I mean, he talked how he talked to Deion Sanders and stuff like that, and it was everything but the contract, you know. So I knew he was coming. I knew what day they were gonna have the press conference. So I mean, it's a good look. Yeah, and you had a lot of young kids on Deion Sanders' timeline that's in high school and stuff, sending him highlight tapes. And I'm looking at some of these kids. These kids are like 3 and 4 star athletes. So the
Mhm.
rest of the SWAC gonna have to step their game up. But Jerry, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Call back anytime, brother.
I will, man. You take care.
You too. All right, that was Jared Porter Jr., the OG of the State of the Saints podcast, chiming in. Ren says Dennis Allen needs to go. I agree. I agree. I mean, if you can't come up with a better game plan against elite offensive coordinators, you can't come up with a game plan to try to combat the same thing over and over again, stopping one player. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Saints defensive coach and cornerback coach need to be out there with Drew. Yeah, Aaron Glenn. I mean, I'm saying the same old thing. You know, I'm saying the same old thing in the secondary. The same old thing. Guys can't turn their head around and giving up big plays down the field on pass interference. Same old song and dance from Drew in the press conference. Yeah, man, but like I said, I want to give a shout out to Mike Triplett again because Mike Triplett went there. Mike Triplett asked the decline question. He was the one that said, do you feel like you on the decline? Is it justified for fans to even be saying that kind of stuff? For him to have the gumption to say something like that, or ask that type of question, I have a newfound respect for Mike Triplett, which I already do, you know, but that just made me have more respect for him because I think somebody called in or they made a comment and they said that that the media of the New Orleans Saints sometimes they're not as critical as they should be on the team. So for him to ask that question to Drew Brees, I think it pretty much answered that question and showed that they're not going to show favoritism. And no matter if you're Drew Brees or you're the bottom of the 53-man roster, they're going to call you out if you're not playing up to par. Dennis should have been going with Rob Ryan. Don't see how he was allowed to step up. It's because he's a Sean Payton guy. All right. We know that he's a Sean Payton guy. We know that. And the thing about it is, folks, the thing about Dennis Allen is I didn't even think about this. I promise you, I didn't even think about this, but this is funny. All John Gruden had to do was go into the archives and go pull up some old film on some defensive schemes that Dennis Allen had, because Dennis Allen used to be the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. I didn't even think about that. But, I mean, he has enough film on Dennis Allen to understand his defensive tendencies and some of his packages and schemes. So he probably, that was a great advantage. I didn't even think about that. So let's keep that in mind too, folks. I'm not trying to let them off the hook, but they do have some stuff in the vault on Dennis Allen and the way that he calls defenses. So keep that in mind. Okay, peace out, man. Child time here in the UK. Y'all stay safe and be good to each other. Catch up later in the week. Ed Diego, man, appreciate you watching all the way in the UK. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Kim says Kendrick Perriman. That was some BS, man. The game was fixed. I'm a conspiracy type. That's all they kept talking about was the new stadium, $1.9 million, or I say billion. I'm telling y'all, that was told to lose this game. Now watch Sundays. I don't know. I don't know about that. I got my boy Jared on the line, man. What's going on, Jared? How you doing, man?
Nah, I know y'all remember me the episode I was on. I was talking about, I believe this is last season. We talked about Drew Brees.
Right.
I mean, what else y'all need? What more proof do y'all need? Drew Brees needs to. He should have retired 2-3 seasons ago.
Right.
But my biggest gripe is with also with Sean Payton. He stopped running the ball. We was being very effective. I don't know why he stopped running the ball at all. We was running up and down in defense. You can't keep going to one player, because every time Drew Brees going to shotgun, I knew he was going to Kamara. If I knew he going to Kamara, I know the defense knew he was going to Kamara. You know what I'm saying? Like he kept doing the same thing, like I said last time on the podcast. He keep dipping and dunking. You can't keep hiding Drew Brees' weakness when he can't throw the ball and he's unable to be mobile. Like, you need to understand. Like, I keep telling people, Sean Payton will have to make a decision. Either you're gonna try to go to the Super Bowl, or you're gonna let Drew Brees go out in glory with a career game. Like, oh, this is it. This is Drew Brees. He's the god. And you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's up to coaching. It's up to management. You need to make a decision. Do you want to ride with Drew Brees, or you gonna go with the young gunners when you got James Winston and Taysom Hill there? Like, it's very frustrating as a Saints fan, because we've been wasting so much talent because of the weakness and lackness of Drew Brees' playing ability.
And I'll have to say this, Jared, for all those that are probably saying, probably thinking, oh, man, you tripping. I encourage people to watch the last drive of the game, right? I mean, what you had about a minute and some odd seconds left on the clock, and they weren't even trying to push the ball down the field, man. Like, did you see any ball? Like, usually, like, there's a sense of urgency, right? If you're down by 10, you're trying to do everything that you can to try to hurry up and score. You're gonna try to throw the ball down the field. You're gonna try to, you're just gonna try to be risky. He couldn't even get the ball down the field in that case. It was just a bunch of checkdowns. Why are you checking the ball down? Why are you checking the ball down with a couple minutes left? When you ever seen Sean Payton do anything like that? We've seen these fourth quarter heroics. Like, we've seen Drew Brees drive the ball down the field. For example, the Dallas Cowboy game on Thanksgiving, the first Saints Thanksgiving game, when Malcolm Jenkins ripped the ball out of Roy Williams' hands. What did Drew Brees do? He drove the ball down the field. I think he threw like a 30-yard touchdown pass to Lance Moore. The Washington Redskins game, That Washington Redskins game that they should have lost back in the day when he threw that deep pass down the seam to Robin Meacham. When have you ever seen the Saints just concede like that late in the game?
Never.
Like I said, he cannot get the ball down the field. And like you said, you got two options here. You can go down with the ship and be like, okay, Drew, look, man, you've been good to us. We gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off. Or you can look at the fact that you're not going to have the same team next year. You got a lot of guys that's going to be gone. A lot of guys going to get picked up by other teams. I talk about Trey Hendrickson. I talk about Marcus Williams. I talk about some of these other guys that ain't going to be here. So what you going to do? So
right.
It's a question that needs to be answered. And it's something that Sean Payton going to have to figure out really, really fast, man.
So let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. If you was the general manager, how would you handle the situation? Like, would you pressure Sean Payton to push up the Taysom Hill, James Winston to get more playing reps? Or should we do something? I think somebody in the comments said we need to do something like the Denver Broncos did with Peyton Manning and just focus on running the ball more and defense. What would you do in this situation if you was general manager?
Well, I feel like there's a difference what the Denver Broncos have with the Saints guy. Okay, I feel like there's a difference. Number one, the Denver, all they had was Peyton Manning. I mean, you had Brock Osweiler, but that was smoke and mirrors to say the least. I mean, you see him come into the game, and he played pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, he played pretty well in the absence of Peyton Manning that last season. But you don't have what the Saints have. The Saints have not one but two quarterbacks that can win you games, that can generate some level of success. So I do feel like you need to get those guys involved. Now, I'm not talking about a triple threat. I feel like that'll be a tad bit much, but you definitely need to choose between the two of these quarterbacks and figure out who can be the guy that can be able to compensate for the things that Drew Brees lacked. For example, throwing the ball down the field, maybe some of those deep post routes, like they got to be able to compensate for that. So rather it's Taysom, rather it's Jameis. The Saints defense, man, please knock it off. You're not going to have a lights out defense. I mean, it's just what it is.
Bronco, I would just say, give an example.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like the defense, like middle of the pack to say the least. I mean, I don't know, man. Like I don't think they have the dogs. You know what I'm saying? For them, they just have like a top 10, top 5 defense. So you're gonna have to find a way to try to compensate for the things that Drew Brees lacks, in my opinion, Jared.
Okay, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But always remember this: our defense always start out slow, and then they get better throughout the season.
Oh yeah, I definitely understand that, and we talked about that. The Saints haven't started 2-0 since 2013, so they always start slow, and they always start to pick it up. But my thing about it, Jared, is why are we still going through the same things over and over again? Like, why do we have to go through these particular heartbreaking, frustrating losses in order for us to turn the corner every single year? Eventually, your luck is going to run out. You're not going to be able to do that. You got to be able to start off strong. And I'm just tired of watching the same thing over and over again. It's like watching a rerun. I said like Living Single or Martin. Like, like it's like that scene where Martin and Gina went on their vacation. And Tommy and Fan was there, and they had that little rat, like they're gonna fight the rat and beat the rat up, like you looking forward to that episode, right? If you see that Chilligan's Island episode, you're gonna be like, yeah, man, that's the one where they beat up the rat. So
right,
it's like the same old song and dance, like giving up plays, deep late in games, pass interference calls, holding penalties. It's like the same thing over and over again. So
right, that last pass interference call, I didn't agree with that. Really,
me neither.
That was like a BS call right there.
Yeah, I didn't agree with it. I mean, it was the ball wasn't catchable at all, and
right.
Both of them was hand fighting. Yeah, right. You don't call that. You don't call that in that type of game. But I mean, we all know with the Saints and the referees. I mean, they
I think they still hold a grudge against us.
Yeah, it's like they I don't know. Maybe they just love just ripping the hearts out of the Saints and their fan base. I don't know. It's like an art at this particular time. It's like art, like the way that they just rip the hearts out of the Who Dat Nation and the Saints. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. But Jared, man, before we get up out of here, man, let everybody know how they can reach you and tell them about your podcast.
What's going on? Yes, y'all. I'm a host of the Land Young Legends podcast. You can check us out on Apple, we on Spotify, we do YouTube, we do interviews weekly. You can check out a previous episode when I had TJ on there. That was a very interesting episode. So you can follow us on Twitter at LanyupL. You can follow us at Instagram at lanyup.legends, and you can hit us up on Facebook at lanyuplegends.
Yeah, man. You're doing an outstanding job, man, and definitely got to get you back on the show, the State of the Saints podcast, and talk some more New Orleans Saints, man. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work, brother.
You too, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. And if Drew Brees have another game, I have a surprise for y'all when I come back on this doggone show.
And, man, hopefully we don't see that surprise though, Jared.
Right.
He take it easy though, brother.
All right, thank you, bro. Have a good one. Appreciate it.
You too, man. And man, that's Jared, man. Y'all check out Lanyap Legends. Great show. He talked to some very interesting people that are very involved in the communities and doing all different type of things. I know he had the local news reporter on the show for Fox 8. She was on this show. I mean, he does an outstanding job, man. So y'all support the brother Lanyap Legends. Good, solid talk right there, man. Tyrone Jones says, you on point with that, TJ. That mad. Chris Ty, I guess it's a part of being a Scorpio. I don't know what that's about. How we go from zodiac signs? Hold on. Let's go back up here. AJ says, why didn't we do a pass more than 20 yards? Is it because Drew doesn't trust his wide receivers or he knows he can't throw it like that? I think it's a combination of both, AJ. I really do. I just think it's the fact that he doesn't trust those wide receivers. But the thing about it is, too, you got to be able to trust yourself. And I don't think he trusts himself to get the ball down the field consistently. Because look, you got to be able, if you don't, you got to have some dogs at receiver. You got to have some dogs at receiver. Throwing the ball down the field, you got to hope and know that your wide receiver can win those 50-50 balls. Yeah, that's just what it comes down to. And I don't think that Drew Brees has an interest of throwing the ball down the field. I don't think he has an interest. And he was like, they only called, check this out, folks. He said that they only called 2 passes down the field that was deep. And neither one of them, they had the look they were looking for. That's what he said. So the whole entire game, you only try to throw the ball deep twice. Like, come on, man. That's alarming. That's alarming right there. If it was 3rd and 3, we needed someone at quarterback that can get 3 yards. Look, man, I'm not saying bench Drew Brees. All right? I'm not saying that. I know some people like, man, put him in, put Taysom in. I do think that, like I said, it's rather Taysom or Jameis. You got to make a decision. Folks, who that nation? You got to make a decision. You got to keep the defense guessing. You got to keep them guessing, man. It is too easy right now. I need everybody to understand this is equivalent to playing in the 1960s when you're Vince Lombardi and you have Bart Starr as your quarterback. That's how far the ball is going. So, all they did back in the 60s was run a football, 4 or 5 yards a clip. That was it. So if you're checking it down and you're being checked down, Charlie, all you doing is just doing the extended handoff. So if you throw the ball 5 yards and the running back or the receiver gets tackled right after those 5 yards, that's equivalent to a running back getting the ball and running it 5 yards. That's what it is. So all the defense has to do is play close to the line of scrimmage. Put 7 in a box. That's it. 7, 8 in the box. That's all you got to do. Because you know that you can play man-to-man coverage. You can play man-to-man coverage. You ain't got to worry about that. You can just put your guys out there and you can put your corners on each one of those guys because you know for a fact if that guy gets separation, Drew Brees ain't going to be able to get the ball down the field. And they were playing a lot of zone too. So if you got that, that single high safety, Drew Brees ain't going to throw that ball. He not. He going to check it down. What's that term? Check down, Charlie? Brees is a mastermind. He is very smart. He is a good leader. Instead of wanting to be the only man winning start prepping the next man. Start incorporating the next man up. I just feel like they just need to take some shots down the field. I mean, teach the other quarterback how to do some of the things Drew Brees do. Combine that with the fact that he can throw the ball down the field. Don't let it be to a point where you see him come in a game, you're like, oh, they about to go deep. Don't let it be like that. Like change it up a tad bit. But I'm just interested, man. Like, why wasn't Taysom Hill? Most of the time, Taysom Hill has his fingerprints all over a game. Why was this game different? I don't know. But I want to talk about this, though, because this was interesting. I got to go back to it. I apologize. I forgot who said this, but it had something to do with the conspiracy theories. And look, I think this is the part of the show where we just got to kind of, put our tinfoil hats on, and kind of just make things kind of light. But isn't it weird that when teams leave one market and go to another market, they automatically just become a really good football team? Like they go to the playoffs or they win a division or something like that. And when you win a division, you go to the playoffs. But isn't it weird, though? Isn't it weird that teams that go to a different location, we looked at the St. Louis Rams, right? The St. Louis Rams was trash for about 7 or 8 years. Then all of a sudden, they moved from St. Louis to Los Angeles. The very next year, they go to the playoffs. Then you had the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers, they were in San Diego. They leave. They go to Los Angeles. Now, all of a sudden, they didn't go to the playoff for 3 straight years in a row. Now, all of a sudden, they making the playoffs. So you had both of the Los Angeles teams in the playoffs. The very next year, the controversial non-call happened. The Rams are in the Super Bowl, right? And we can say that the Rams are the team in LA. That's if we're talking about LA, the Chargers would be the Clippers and the Rams would be the Lakers. People love the Rams more than they love the Chargers, even though both teams are in LA. They don't look at the Chargers the same way that they look at the Rams. But they were playoff contenders. You look at the Houston Oilers, right? They moved from Houston to Tennessee. They become the Tennessee Oilers. They go to the AFC Championship game. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory, but it is a little bit weird, in my opinion, that a team just automatically leaves a market, go to a new market, and all of a sudden those teams look like world beaters. So, I mean, I ain't about to go out there and say, oh, they threw the game. Oh, like they wanted the Raiders to win. I won't go that far, but it do seem to me that when you move to a different market, you just automatically just become really, really good. I don't know. I agree. I said that earlier. We have 3 quarterbacks. They are versatile in many different ways. Mix it up like last year. What film they have on Winston as a Saint? None. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like I said, I just feel like, but they did have film on Dennis Allen. I will say that. A lot of it. Our defense had a lot of missed tackles, to say the least. Malcolm Jenkins, that was horrible. Malcolm Jenkins, look really, really bad, man. And honestly, I don't understand why they didn't put DJ Swearinger in. I don't know why they didn't have him active in this game. DJ Swearinger is a good safety. And I just feel like none of that stuff would have been going on with Darren Waller if Swearinger was in the game. I mean, I'm glad he all right. I'm glad he's going to play against the Broncos in week 3, but Chris Godwin, asked him. He going to make you pay for going over the middle. Kia says, facts. Some of those calls was garbage. Our defense was at the taco stand during the game. Evans says, Drew ain't throwing downfield because he worried about his stat line. He is selfish and only came back because Brady's still playing. If Brady retired, then Drew would have too. Woo, man, that's some strong accusations right there. I do feel like I do think he cares more about his stat line than he says that he does. But I don't know, man. You got to get the ball down the field. Like I said, man, you can't change the narrative of what people think about you. Like, he's already all-time great. If if Tom Brady goes out there and he throws 15, 20 interceptions, that's not going to poo-poo on his legacy at all. That's not going to say, oh man, Tom Brady sucked. He's still arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. There is nothing Drew Brees can do this season that will take away anything he did in his career. If anything, people are just chunk it up and be like, well, he's being more aggressive because he understands that he's on borrowed time right now. So I don't get it. I mean, the NFL is not going to like sit up here and be like, oh man, Drew Brees, he sucked. Like nobody gonna say that. He already got enough skins on the wall. People know what Drew Brees is. TJ, we know the Saints is the most hated team in the NFL. I don't know. I'm starting to believe that. Laura says QB. Brian says no injuries. That's a win. Yeah. Ghostface laughing. Some of those penalties were BS. I mean, Sanders got called for a blindside hit. That was BS. That horse collar was BS. And that last PI call was BS. You might be on to something, TJ. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just, when I seen that in the comments about, some of these teams in Las Vegas, that just made me think, like, can y'all think of one team that left one market, that went to another market and wasn't good instantly, like didn't make the playoffs? Because I think sometimes we forget in the middle of us cheering and celebrating these teams that this is a business. When you go to the game, you see concession stands, you got the memorabilia shop, you got, where you can go get a jersey, hats, and all that kind of stuff. You got the programs for the game and all that. And not to mention you pay tickets to get into the game. I think we forget sometimes that it is a business. And, in my past life, before I was really embedded into radio and broadcasting, I was a store manager. And one of the stores that I used to manage was Murphy, right? It was Murphy. Murphy, y'all know the gas station right next to the Walmarts and stuff like that. So we were like really big on cigarettes. And sometimes we used to get those Premier cigarettes like Marlboros, right? Marlboro, if you're a smoker, they kind of change up their cigarettes. And when they come up with a different blend or a different flavor, then what they do is they'll sell it for cheap, right? They sell it for cheap in order for you to, get all excited, excited about it, like, so you end up smoking it and all of a sudden you want to come back for more. I look at that cheap price. I feel like that represents the interest, right? Or winning franchise, right? You want to get them emotionally invested. So how do you get them emotionally invested? You win. You know what I'm saying? You make it look good to them, right? The cheap price of those cigarettes, they look good to you. So I think I'll give it a try. If you're a casual fan, you never had football in your market, you're gonna be like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, dang, man, they winning. Like maybe I need to hop on board. Give you something to be excited about. That is a business marketing plan. That's a business marketing plan. The best way for you to generate interest is winning, because people like to be affiliated with winners. This is like the Golden State Warriors, right? Golden State Warriors, ain't nobody was talking about no Golden State Warriors when Tim Hardaway and Latrell Sprewell was there. But you put those light-skinned boys, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, out there shooting the ball from half court. Now you're talking. And you combine that with some championships. Oh, man, I'm on board. Now, all of a sudden, the hottest team in California is not the Lakers. It's not the Clippers. It's not the Kings. It's the Golden State Warriors. So how do you make teams attracted to fans in new markets? You let them win. So I don't know, folks. I mean, I just find that very weird. I don't think I ever seen a team move from one market to another and then automatically just become a Super Bowl contender, much better than they was a year before. TJ, I thought about how bad it would look if the Raiders lost the first game in the new dome. Ghostface, if y'all go back to my predictions when I had the Saints going 11-5, when I was going down the schedule, I had them losing this game for that same exact reason. But I guess it was just the fandom in me, the love of the Saints, that just made me was like, man, I'm just gonna pick them. But I think even Keen Arthur brought that to my attention yesterday. I'm like, yeah, like I had them winning for that same exact reason. We made fools out of ourselves last night. Maury Povich. Shouts out to Maury, man. Hey, Maury, you got to tell me I'm not the father. Well, you better not tell me I'm not the father. My wife gonna have some explaining to do. Anyway, Maury says losing to those crappy Raiders. I don't want to even say they crappy, like, I mean, team change every year. But like I said, they are trying to make a new market popular. So that was a horrible coaching on the defensive side yesterday. Yeah, they got out schemed. The only player we have that can measure up with that tight of paper is or tight end on paper is Taysom Hill. We had zero answer for him. Yeah, we didn't have any answer for him. But that goes to show you right there. That was just terrible play calling by the and terrible schemes by the defensive coordinator. They just didn't have an answer for him. Why did we get Sanders? He dropped easy passes and was not effective. We got manhandled with old school hard-nosed football. Yep. Running the ball, shoving it down their throats, running it down their throats. The whole team sucked. More D than a tie hooker on a weekend set. Eddie says it was rigged. TJ, would you invest more time in Marcus Williams, or is it time to move on with another free safety in 2021? He's soft to me. I think they was gonna move on anyway. I think he's playing to try to position himself to get more money for another team. I mean, that's the Saints don't keep safeties. They don't. They got rid of Von Bell. They got rid of Malcolm Jenkins. Like they don't keep safeties for a long time. So, I mean, they even got rid of Sammy Knight back in the day. He went to Kansas City, if y'all remember. Can we be honest? That call on Sanders was not legit, and that call on Jenkins' last PI call was bull. I agree. Both plays. I mean, you can't call that, but this the Saints, so of course they're gonna call that. PR move last night. At this point, I'd rather see Winston at quarterback. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. I think you just need to get other guys involved. Las Vegas is a very crooked state anyway. I used to live there. I knew they were going to lose. I mean, it's just interesting to me how teams just automatically become cold when they leave. When they leave their old market and go into their new market, they become cold. Somebody please explain that to me. Please explain that to me. Raiders safety came up every time Taysom lined up at quarterback. Sean should have took the shot and used him more. And that's another thing, I mean, if you want to add to the conspiracy theories, I'm about to put 10-4 hats on. Why weren't they using Taysom Hill? They knew that Taysom Hill could be effective, if they would have used him the way that the Raiders were playing them. Man, Taysom Hill would have had a field day. They would not have had an answer for Taysom Hill in this game, because there was a couple of times where the pocket broke down, and if Drew Brees was a scrambling or a quarterback that can run for some extra yards, I mean, the field was wide open because they was coming after Drew. You couldn't do that with Taysom. You couldn't. So if you want to add to the conspiracy theories, why wasn't Taysom Hill fully utilized in this game? High state of the Saints Raiders better than the Bucks. I mean, I don't know, man. Might be. 0 catches for Sanders. He had 1 catch during garbage time. Winston, Taysom, something we need a spark. Got to make defenses think on the back end. Secondaries are playing close to the line. No one fears Brees anymore. Yeah. Nobody fearing Brees anymore. and nobody respects our secondary to a point where, you know, they don't think they can throw the ball down the field. You know, people, you know, the thing about this is, you know, I know I get on my guy. I know I support him all the time, but, you know, Marshawn Lattimore for the last couple of years has been dealing with the same issues. He even came out there and said it. So for you to come out there and say it, I'm pretty sure the coaching staff has said it to you. You want to be an elite corner, but you play down to the competition. You play below average when you're going up against quote unquote below average wide receivers, but then you play lights out when you go up against elite guys. So you got to be motivated, man. And it is going to cost him money. Now, would I still want to pay him? Yeah, I still would pay him because I fail to believe that you can find somebody that can give you better production than he can give you. His problem is he's just inconsistent. So I definitely would pay him. I wouldn't give him Jalen Ramsey money. I mean, if he's asking for Jalen Ramsey money, I would say, you know, I would have to ask him to test the free agent market. I would because, you know, he deserves like upper, like it's almost like Alvin Kamara, right? And when you're talking about Chris McCaffrey, he deserves, you know what I'm saying, in that realm, but he doesn't deserve like more money than they do. He don't. So, you know, I'm not going to say that, oh, you know, he play lights out every game or whatever. He does play down to his competition. And I saw that again on last night on a couple of plays. I mean, Brandon Edwards, who I really liked. I thought for a fact that the Saints might, you know, end up getting him late in the draft. He was one of the guys that I thought they would get. But Marshawn Lattimore got to win that matchup, man. You've been in the league for 4 years. That guy just got here. You got to win that. I mean, we just seen you shut down Mike Evans. I don't think that guy's better than Mike Evans, not at this stage in his career right now. And Janoris Jenkins, I mean, he had a terrible game. I mean, but at the same time, when you're going up against Henry Ruggs, you know, that's a tough matchup. That guy has some speed. Shamika said, scrap everybody. I ain't going that far. He needs to clean the house after 2 weeks. Facts. Let's see. Payton wanted his buddy Gruden to win the stadium opener. I don't know if it was them. You know, I just feel like, you know, some things work in your favor. Maybe, you know, maybe the Saints, they need to move from New Orleans to Baton Rouge or something like that. Call them the Baton Rouge Saints, and maybe we'll be able to, you know, get over that hump and make it to the Super Bowl or something like that. Maybe they just need to build a new stadium out there in Baton Rouge somewhere. Buy some land and build a stadium out there. Or put it out there in Algiers or something. I don't know. Do something. You know, maybe we can get some of that new stadium treatment. But I guess you have to really literally lead the market. So nah, we don't want that. Payton will never let Taysom embarrass his son. Anybody, like I said, anybody don't feel like they be trying to protect him, you know, just look no further than that wild card game. You know, I mean, Taysom Hill, you kept him in a game. Look, it's time for us to go to Green Bay. We going to Green Bay if Taysom Hill would have stayed in that wild card game. This was a game right here. I feel like if Taysom would have played, the Saints would have won and won big. But I don't know. They just didn't use him. I don't know how to feel anymore. I'm sad. Taysom Hill should start soon. I disagree with that. Brees don't have an arm. No deep ball. I agree with that. Can't use Taysom for every trick shot. I'm sure teams have figured it out. It's not about the trick shots. That's why I said, Kay, teach him how to do some of the things Drew Brees does because he won't be as one-dimensional. I mean, and honestly, they've been opening up the playbook for Taysom. I seen passes down the field. I seen passes in the flat. I seen him tucking and run. I seen RPOs. So they're adding to his playbook, but they need to teach him how to do some of those other things as well. And I'm pretty sure he does know how to do it. If you've been with the Saints organization for 3 years, you should know the playbook. Earl Thomas still out there. Psh, right. He's still available. That's all I'm saying. And if Malcolm Jenkins play another game like that, Saints might be giving him a call. or they might end up putting like DJ Swearingen out there. Payton has tied his legacy to Drew. He will never admit Drew is no longer a threat. I will say this though. When a question was asked, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. When a question was asked to Sean Payton about Drew Brees and stuff like that in the Saints performance, when a reporter asked him about it, I will say Sean Payton, he did criticize Drew for the first time. For the first I ever seen it. I never seen him openly criticize Drew. But this was one of those times. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Sean, what was the turnaround there? You guys seemed to have a good start, and then this flip kind of script. The script flipped on you all.
Yeah, listen, I would agree. I think two things. We didn't possess the ball enough offensively, and then defensively very quickly we couldn't get off the field. And we're going to look at third downs. We're going to look at time of possession, the turnover right before the half. We're going to look at a number of things, but we got to do a better job coaching. I don't think it's going to be a real pleasant film to watch for some of our star players as well.
Sean, what do you think has maybe been off with the way Brees has been playing the last 2 weeks? If you think anything has been off, it just seems like he wasn't as accurate. He wasn't as accurate as you would normally expect from him. Hopefully you can hear me.
I made the comment, we've got to be precise with what we're doing in the passing game route-wise. I agree with you, really. I'm just saying the last 2 weeks, I think it's been average at best offensively, and that starts with us. It starts with me, and we got to be better. I thought we ran the ball a little bit better tonight. We're still not protecting the way we're supposed to. We're not functioning well enough and taking advantage of some of the opportunities we've had. So we'll look at that. Our third down numbers were better. I'm sure our red zone numbers were a little better, but we had some penalty situations. The one drive, heck, we had like 3 or 4 penalties. I lost track.
It seemed like.
Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, there was a little bit of criticism, even though he said, the offense hasn't been playing well for the last 2 weeks. But as you can see, I think that was it was Catherine Terrell of NOLA.com. She asked a question about Drew Brees. So, I mean, he did criticize him just a tad bit right there. So, I'm looking at this comment right here. That's why I started laughing. Did you see Alvin Kamara? He was past tick. Yeah. That man came to the press conference, no shirt on. And man, like, look, yeah, he was frustrated, man. I mean, that was a really good game that he had, but he can't even celebrate it because they lost. So, I mean, but you did see a tad bit of criticism for Drew on that. So that might be a positive thing that you would be able to do that. That was not criticism of Drew Brees. Why? Because he said the offense. Yeah. Why? Because he said the offense. I mean, of course he's not gonna be like, when a reporter asked him about Drew in particular, I mean, of course he's not gonna just completely throw Drew under the bus. So he just said the offense. So, but the offense do look terrible. Not gonna lie about that. Nah, for real though, relax, yo. I mean, we just breaking down the game, and we got to talk about it. That's why I told y'all, man, last week, we got to talk about alarming situations in the good times as well as in the bad. And honestly, I think if I wouldn't have had that type of show and be able to talk about this last week, I probably would be a little bit more frustrated than I am right now. I mean, I'm frustrated, but not as frustrated as I probably wouldn't have been if I didn't have a show about these type of situations, about how some of the offensive, some of the situations offensively are alarming. Them boys play with no heart. Yep. I'm saying the same thing like last year, playing down to your competition. They said that they learned their lesson. It's like in that wild card game, they were 13-3. They felt like they didn't belong there. That's what they felt. They felt like they were better than the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings came to New Orleans and slapped them boys around. That's what they did. They slapped them around. They embarrassed them. That's what they did, straight up. And the same thing last night. They thought that this was going to be the same Raiders team you see out there in Oakland, not winning games, close but no cigars, middle of the pack team, say the least, bottom of the barrel. That's what they thought. And they got hitting them out. That is why it's important. When people was talking about, oh, man, they got an offensive line that's put together. They got third string right tackle. They're going to eat. I said it, man. I said, I'm not going to look past what they got. I mean, I said, guys are tough. These guys go out there and they answer the call. So you can't just say on paper. I mean, this is very hypocritical of us, folks. This is very hypocritical of us, right? We'll say stuff like, we shouldn't look at paper, right? We talk about Tampa Bay. We talk about Tom Brady and Gronk and Godwin and O.J. Howard and Jason Pierre-Paul and Dominican Sue, and we'll turn around and say, on one hand, oh, we play the game between the lines. It's not what's important on paper. But then we'll come out here and talk about a second or a third string left tackle or a guard for the Raiders and be like, that's going to be the keys to victory. You can't do that, man. You can't do that, okay? That's hypocrisy at its best. You cannot underestimate anybody. I don't care if that person came off the practice squad. You can't underestimate those guys. So we can't say on one hand, oh, it's about what you do between the lines, and then say, oh, Cam Jordan gonna eat this week. Nah, man, nah, that's not fair. Why draft a center first round and not even play him? All people they passed up. He did play. He played and did an okay job too. He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all. He played a little bit more once Andrews Pete left the game. They put him at left guard. So, and then they had Nick Easton at the right guard. So, I mean, they just slowly try to bring the kid in, which I understand. Probably would have been further along if they had offseason activities. Drew is completely fine with adding to his stats without another Super Bowl. We, the fans, aren't fine with that. I don't know about that. I think Drew Brees cares just as much as we do, if not more, about winning the Super Bowl. He knows what the whispers are, all the time. He getting snubbed for all these different all-time lists, and he knows what 2 Super Bowls can do for his legacy. So, Cries says, I think you're right. At this point, it has to be pride. Brees hasn't looked good in the last several games this season and last. The last 3 games that we've seen from Drew Brees, I mean, we haven't seen production. We seen somebody that's like they're in the decline, and it goes back to the Minnesota Vikings game. See, we talking about, oh, what about last week? You just going about one game? No, I'm going by what I've seen over the course of time since the Minnesota Vikings played the Saints in that wild card round. I've seen that. I don't have a debit card. I don't know why you would say that, Rent. I don't know, man. I don't know. King of Flash says it's only 2 games. Right, okay. I mean, but we only can go by what we're actually seeing right now. If I couldn't go by what I'm looking at right now, I shouldn't even have a show. Like, we should just be like, okay, well, let's just wait till week 17 and have a show. Like, the narrative is going to constantly change, King of Flash. I agree. You're absolutely right. It's only been 2 games. The narrative is going to change. But as of right now, what we're seeing, we don't like. So, time to move on now. Monday night is dead. Yeah, that's why I call it final thoughts, Jerry. That's why I'm calling it final thoughts. After this, we're going to move on to something else. We're going to move on to, just answering your questions and getting through the week. Odell Wilson says, do you think the EB will start clicking like the shutdown DBs that we know they are? Yeah, Jared said it earlier. Jared called in from Lanyap Legends. Make sure y'all check out Lanyap Legends on YouTube and Facebook. And he said it, man. He talked about how the secondary and the defense always play better in the middle of the season. So maybe that's what it is. Pete got hurt but returned. Yeah, I appreciate that, Bobby. But yeah, Cesar Ruiz came in when Andrews got hurt for a couple plays, and he also rotated right tackle with Nick East. The cleats is what got me. Drew act like he was gonna go out there and play lights out. Yeah, he did, man. He had all them accolades and stuff like that, on those cleats. Monday Night Football. Are you ready for some football? All them cleats, all them stats on his shoes. Yeah, man. It's kind of like Tag McKinley the other day. Tag McKinley boarded the Atlanta Falcons private plane. He got a 10-gallon hat on. He got a cowboy shirt on. He got some Wrangler jeans. He got some cowboy boots. And you up there talking about how about them Cowboys, man? You can't be out there trolling folk and not play. Not only did you not play, you end up getting hurt in the game. Okay, so not only did you board the plane looking like Cowboy Curtis, but they made you look like Pee Wee. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't go all out like that and don't ball out. Davenport was once again in Reebok and Jabot jeans instead of pads. Yeah, I know, man, but hopefully he'll be back Sunday. I think he'll be back on Sunday. If he doesn't play in the game on Sunday, then I'm concerned. Underestimating teams is a sign of the youth of our team. Drew Brees is in the twilight of his career, but still good enough to manage the offense while learning. Yeah, on the plethora of weapons we have on both sides of the ball and special teams. But them PI calls on us were BS. Jay, playing down to your competition is a big no-no. And this has been something that has plagued the Saints for the last few years. You got to be able to play and be up and be game for everybody. We need Michael Thomas back. That's the heart and soul of this team. I feel like Taysom Hill is the heart and soul of this team right now, as far as, getting people motivated and stuff. I also feel Drew Brees is the undisputed heart of this team. And but I don't know, man. Michael Thomas, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of happy that I'm not happy he hurt, but this gives us an opportunity to see who we really have. Like, this gives us opportunity who we really have, because when you have a guy this great at wide receiver on your team, it kind of hides a lot of imperfections of your team, because you can count on this guy to catch a pass and and get yards after the catch, and you can count on him. 81% of his the passes thrown to him he catches, so he bails a lot of people out. But now you're starting to see guys, they for what they really are, because Drew Brees has to go and throw them the ball, and they're not answering the call. I mean, there was a couple passes Drew Brees threw. I mean, guys just straight up dropped it. I think Emmanuel Sanders had like 2 drops. I think Ty Montgomery had a drop. I don't know. If Brees doesn't show us something significant Sunday, I think we need to start playing Taysom or Winston. Maybe just blend them in and see. But honestly, I wouldn't be upset if one becomes the starter. I think a conversation gonna get had, man. If he don't go out there and perform, and the Saints, mess around, get blew out at home, even though, I don't know if they're gonna have fans in the stands or not. I'm pretty sure that they might, from what I'm hearing. I'll check back with Ray later this season. Got to give props to Traquan. I agree, man. Like, we've been criticizing Traquan Smith for a long time, man. I mean, he stepped up. A couple of those plays, I mean, that first catch that he had, where he was fighting defenders and stuff like that, fighting for extra yards and running down the field, almost scored. I think we got to give Traquan some credit here. TJ, that guy that was screaming at you last night about Lattimore, please don't ever bring him back on. Derek, thank you, man. Like, I don't know, man. Me and him had kind of a falling out. He was one of those guys that supported the State of the Saints podcast before, but I guess he didn't like the fact that I was always defending Marshawn Lattimore. And I don't know, man. We just kind of got into it. Some things, I don't say it got personal, but I mean, it came down to him discrediting me as a broadcaster, and stuff like that. I mean, look, I mean, he made some valid points too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna like completely like discredit what he's saying. He know his stuff. But I just think that Marshawn Lattimore is a good cornerback. Do I think he's a top 5 corner? I still feel like he has the ability to be a top 5 corner. I think the thing that separates him from being a top 5 corner is the inconsistency, because you can't shut down some of the most elite receivers in football and not have top 5 talent. I just don't believe it. But it is what it is, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he has some valid points, but it's just one of those things we didn't see eye to eye. And when I was thinking about it, I was just wondering, like, what was that in week 1? It's easy. Like, it's easy to catch. It's easy to grab fruit from a low hanging tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, when you got a low hanging branch, it's easy for you to like get the peaches off the peach tree. But what about in week 1 when he shut down Mike Evans? Like, I didn't get the phone call. I didn't get the phone call until, like, I guess a guy caught a pass on him or two. So I don't know. But I do think that he's a special player. I still feel like he puts the Saints secondary in the best position to be successful, and I'm not giving up on that man. I'm not. When the Saints lose, Drew Brees is washed up. But if the Buccaneers lose, it's everybody else's fault but Tom Brady. Good point. Good point. That is a very, very good point. That's a very, very good point. And also, like they said they're not giving Drew Brees and the Saints the benefit of the doubt because they feel like they're the team that's been constructed and they're the team that got the chemistry and Tom Brady, he has to learn to play with the players. Yeah, but that's a good point, though. I didn't see that type of energy when Tom Brady was throwing 2 interceptions. And I definitely didn't see it. This team was up 21-0, but I will say this, though. I will say this. And I got to give Brady his credit. Brady ain't got no problem throwing the ball down the field. He ain't got no problem getting that ball down the field. So I just leave it at that. Cam Jordan been not seen for 2 games straight. Come on, Cam, we need you. Yeah, I agree. He's been good in run support, but he hasn't gotten any sacks yet. Kirk Thompson says, we were up against some critical odds last night. New location, new stadium. It was the first Monday Night Football home game. I think this Sunday will be a little different. I hope so, because you fall to 1-2, and then we really going to have to figure some things out. Because the first couple games of the season from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, it seems like, man, it's some very winnable games. I also think that Latavius Murray is too damn big to keep getting taken down by arm tackles. He just looked clumsy out there sometimes. I don't know, man. I think Latavius Murray does a good job. I think he does a pretty good job. Everybody laughed at the Falcons, and then we lose. I'm still laughing at the Falcons. I mean, we didn't give up a 29-10 lead like they did. Okay, like so. Let's not. I mean, wait a minute now. You know what I'm saying? Let's not. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Man, the Falcons still screw ups. I don't care, man. We just lost. They blew it. We lost. They blew it. Teams aren't scared of us anymore. We're the ultimate check down offense. Yep. Captain check down. Lieutenant check down. Reported for duty, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Captain check down. See. Lieutenant check down. Sergeant check down. That's what I'm going to start doing. Yeah? Look, can y'all imagine, though, if you was a drinker, could you imagine, like, if you took a shot for every time Drew Brees checked it down? My goodness. What I look, look, anybody that don't think, or I'll put it like this. Anybody that don't believe that Drew Brees, if they feel like he can get the ball down the field, and you willing to put this on the line, let's have a drinking competition, okay? And have a drink for every time Drew Brees checks the ball down, and let's see how sober you are by the end of that football game. Can y'all imagine though? Somebody like had a drinking game and be like, drink every time Drew Brees checks the ball down. I mean, you'll be somewhere explicit. You know, I'm still laughing at 20 old lead and they blew it for real. I don't really understand how PJ Williams is still on the team. I don't either. I told you he may know where the bodies are buried. I mean, maybe he know where the the lost ark is. Maybe he has some incriminating photos or something like that, or some coaching staff members. I don't know. I don't understand how this guy just completely just get re-signed over and over again. Thankfully, none of the players tore their ACL last night. Did you see all those ACL injuries over the weekend? Yeah, man. And shouts out to Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, Saquon Barkley. You have CMC, Christian McCaffrey. He down. It's a bad day for elite players, man. And think about this with that nation. Right now, two of the best players in the NFC South are hurt. Arguably the two best players in the NFL offensively are out right now. Why Payton take Taysom damn near completely out of the offense? Calvin, thank you very much for the $4.99. I don't know, man. That's one of those one of those questions. It's almost like why you stop, if you were the Falcons back in that Super Bowl, why you stop running the ball with Devontae Freeman and start using Tevin Coleman? I didn't, maybe that was one of those things. I'm gonna read a few more, man. We're gonna get up out of here. Brian says all the old quarterbacks look good except Drew. Tom Brady don't look good. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Tom Brady, well, they playing their age, man. I think sometimes we forget, man, these guys are defying the odds. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 40-year-old quarterbacks out there playing. This is a young man's game. Honestly, this is a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, even throw my guy Russ in Russ I trust. Okay, even throw him up in there. This is a young man game. All right, 40-year-olds don't have no business out there playing no football. They're defying the odds. So it is what it is. And finally, Evan says a shot for every check down. We will be Woody the Wino. For real. For real. Seriously, man. Can you imagine that, though? Taking a shot for every time the Saints do a check down. That would be something. All right. I mean, you'll probably have to, if you at the bar, you're going to have to get a ride home. I can tell you that. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. And we're going to go ahead and bury this game. And we're going to move forward to week 3 as the Saints take on a red-hot Green Bay Packers team. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. This is an impromptu show, folks. So tonight, it's not going to be, a podcast or anything like that. I'm going to announce the winner that's going to receive the T-shirt. I wasn't expecting really to do a show early this morning like this. I was going to do it late on tonight when my wife got home. My wife went to sleep, man. She worked like 14 hours yesterday. She was in a car, and I was trying to get her to, I was taking her to work because my car is at the shop. And I was taking her to work, and I was like, look, I need you to choose out of these people right here, you know what I'm saying, on social media. And she was like, no, that ain't fair. She was like, you need to write the names down and put them in a hat. So my wife looked out for quite a few of you, man. You know what I'm saying? She was like, I would just be basically picking somebody based on their name. And she's like, so just pick the names, put them in a hat, and then I'll draw it when I get home. So tonight, I'm going to reveal the winner. The winner is going to be, I'm not going to make a video. I'm going to put it on Facebook. So follow on Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and find out if you are going to win the brand new State of the Saints podcast T-shirt. And if you are the winner, then I'll give you the particulars on how you can receive your t-shirt. But please subscribe. You still have an opportunity right now. Like, honestly, you still got opportunity as long as she didn't, pull a name. So you still have an opportunity to do so. Facebook.com. All you have to do is go and snapshot a picture of you following the State of the Saints podcast on a streaming app. Can't be YouTube. It can't be Twitter. It can't be the Facebook page. It has to be iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Anchor FM. All right. So still got opportunity between now and I say about 8:30 Eastern Standard Time when my wife gets home in order for you to get an opportunity to win a t-shirt. So good luck to you. You all have a good and productive day. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?